All right, let's take a look at your homework. I'm going to try this as a new way of seeing if this helps you understand better. Again, it's a test. Let's see what goes. All right. So for your homework, I want you to make a vase, that negative positive vases that we've seen before, from this image. So I download this image and I'll attach it to the homework file. Or you can use your own if you'd rather go find your own. And with that image downloaded, we looked at it and it says it's 1218 by 1045. So just like before, when we make our, I'm sorry, there's an image. Here's the image. I downloaded this image and it's 1218 by 1045. I forget there's only one screen here. So I'll go to plane, go to front, and I'm going to drag it out something like that just to see what we get. We'll come over here and we'll see it's 13.8 or 9, so I'm going to say 12. Let me pull this back up here. 1218 by 1045. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 12.18 to 10.45. And actually, I think it's the other way around. So let's do this. Let's copy this, and we'll change this to 10.45, and we'll change this to 1248 or 18. Okay. Now we're going to come back to our texture where I've downloaded it, and that is here. And I will just drag that onto here. Or you can put it into the texture and to the material editor and throw it on there. Okay, so we have our vase, front view. So, and we'll call this reference. All right, go to line, go to here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and make this vase face here. Kind of going to just click out to the key points. If you're going to use a spline to do stuff, just try and do the least amount of clicks at first as possible, if you ask me. And that's probably too many, but that's fine. Bam, bam. It's only because the more you make, the more you have to manage. And we'll go back to the middle here. So one of the things I did mess up, and we can hide the vase face now. Vase face. Hide unselected. Okay, one of the things I did screw up, you can already see the profile of his face, is I should have pulled this out to the middle first. So you know what? Let's show you how to fix it better yet. So I've got this spline set up. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say refine, because that's how you actually add verts really easy. I'm just going to click up by this dot up here, and then I'm going to move this dot, not that one, this one, all the way towards the center. And then I'm going to pull this one up just so it's even. Then I'm going to make sure these are centered by doing the scale. Make sure this is off, not on 2, because it'll center them on themselves, which does nothing, as you can see. But if I do change this to 1, it will center them to each other, and it should be pretty straight. And while I'm at it, I can just do this one too. We'll go to the north here. Oops, go this way. So now they should be straight. Okay, so I've got this face, sort of. I may want to smooth some stuff out, and that's what we're going to do first. We're going to take a look at this and say, instead of saying corner, we're going to try Bezier, or we'll try smooth first, and you see that's not what we want, so we'll go back to corner, and then we'll go to Bezier. And with the Bezier, what you can do is start moving these handles. And again, remember how I told you that you have to be on both of these to make that move correctly? Well, there's a way to fix it so you don't have to keep messing up, like clicking here by accident or whatever. But by doing this and then holding Control-Shift-X, what it does is it hides it. Some people have done this by accident, but I want to show you how to do it on purpose. And the reason there is a purpose for it is now I don't have to worry about if I'm grabbing that face or which direction I'm going. So it can just, again, change this to Bezier, change this up a little bit here, take this one. See, this one's a dance, so we may be seeing what happens. The reason I'm worried is because there's so much, they're so close to each other that I may not get what I want. Yeah, it worked out okay. This one I'm going to try, instead of doing the 2 cuts like I did on that one, I'll try it this way. There. It's not bad. I'm going to smooth this one because it's a pretty simple transition from that to that. I'm going to take this one out by just selecting it and deleting it. I'm going to grab this one and say Bezier corner. So Bezier corner now means I can do it to both. So I may not want that actually. I'm going to just say Bezier. And then that way I can pull the lip out a little bit more. This one I'm going to say Bezier corner. Bezier corner is good when you want to have a sharp corner, but you still want to have smoothing in and out. So I'm going to pull this out a little bit to give me a little bit of transition and then pull this out. Okay, this one I may say smooth. I always like to try with smooth, but sometimes it goes overkill. And then don't forget, you can come in here and delete some of these faces. If that doesn't seem like it's working, wait till I pull this down like that. Then I can move it a little bit. There. And there we go. Okay, so a couple more things I need to fix here. This should be a corner. So right click and say corner, which it is. Then this one needs to be a little bit more of a Bezier corner than a smooth. So I'm going to pull this in like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, see, that's supposed to be a corner. Corner. Thank you. Okay. So the other thing I'm going to do is grab these two and make sure they're both corners. I'll go to the scale tool, make sure I put Shift Control X to get rid of that, so I can make sure I'm doing it in the right spot. Okay, so these are all even. Now we should be able to get a decent lathe and make our face look like a vase. So I'll come to the modifier list and we'll call this vase. I'll call this face vase. There. We'll come to the modifier panel. We'll come inside here and we'll say lathe. By default, of course, it looks wrong because it's not set to max. Let's take a look at our lathe here. So as we can see, if I go to vert mode, my face is being pulled to the middle, and that's kind of weird looking. So I'm going to change this to, on the lathe version up here, I'm going to change it to max. And now we've got our vase. Now, you get to decide if that's too sharp of edges or whatever you want, but there's also another problem. Our vase is pretty unfunctional here. So how do we fix that? Well, we need to go back to our spline and probably turn off this, unless, you know, I could leave that on and maybe you can see what you're doing a little bit better. We'll go to the front, make sure that if we go down to here and show final, and then we get to verts. Okay. So the problem is that this is capping it off. Now it's fine on the bottom, and we'll take a look at that in a second. I'll explain what that is. But the problem is the top. So really what we want is this to go down. But first, before we do that, we want to figure out where on this edge, how thick this base is. So we'll take a refine button like we talked about to add a vert, and we'll just add one right there. And then we can just take this, and as you can see, it's scaling it in there. And then we can decide, oh, you know what? I want it to be a Bezier. And then I'll pull it. See, now it's like this again. There we go. And I'll pull it out. Now, if I was going to make this a real base, obviously I'd want to go down as far as possible. But we are doing pretend stuff in here. So, all right. So there we go. There's your vase with a semi-hole in it. Now the problem is that this doesn't match. But watch what happens when I pull these together. All of a sudden it goes inverted. It's kind of like symmetry where if you get too close, they screw up. So you just kind of leave it that way. And then there's this one too. These are overlapping faces. So if I pull it out, you'll see that it's gone. I actually like to start with them not exactly lined up. And if you wanted to get super fancy, you could come in here and say refine this one to there. And then this one to there, and I'll grab these two and move them up so you get that beveled base. In fact, I'm going to say do that, make the bottom beveled too. Okay, and if you want, you can take this one and say, what is it? Smooth. Oops, that's not smooth, that's corner. Smooth. Yeah. Okay. Right now it's got refinement of 10, so each of these edges is rotating around by 10, which is fine, but the problem is that it doesn't have enough around the outside. 10 is the breakup between each bent vert, so that's why it looks smooth right here. What we want is to come back out of here, go up to lathe, and look at the amount of segments we use here. So we're going to change it to, let's see what 20 looks like. Still not enough. Let's do 30. That's closer, you know. Again, though, what we're getting is that, but you know, that's fine. We're looking for beauty at this point. We're not looking for perfection. We're not looking for game model stuff. And then we'll say, let's say 50. And there you go. And that's what that looks like. So I would collapse it to editable poly. Come on, fingers, as I'm doing it. And then I take a look at this down here. And all I would do is take these edge right here, double click it, and do a collapse on it. So I get that back on. And then this one and collapse. If I decided this is too many and I wanted to start to divide it down, I would grab one of these edges and I'd use our special every other selection tool, bonk, and it takes every other one. Then I do Alt R to do a ring, select all of those rings because I know it's perfect because of the way it was made, and then I Alt X, and now I've got half the resolution there. I could also do it here and see if this destroys the shape, which it might, but or it may not. So there you go. I could do it here. Yeah, I could do it here, which I think I want to do it the other way though. So it's this one, I think. Yeah, so it goes around every other one. I think that's what I want. No, actually, I want the whole thing. And this one too. I collapse those, see if I can get anything better. You know, you can come in here and selectively collapse stuff. I am going to ask you, once I get this done, to get it close to my same resolution. And you can start by not putting this many cuts in. I am totally not opposed to how you get to the point, but it's just that you got to get to it. All right, so we're going to take this. I know I made you turn it up so you could see how it looks, and then now we're taking it away. Okay, and we are at 1,851 faces. Oh, this bottom. This one definitely doesn't need all this. Let's do this one first, actually. There. This one probably could be gone. Just because I know that if I, and right now it's sharp. Oops, right now it's sharp, but it's not going to be. Okay, because we have smoothing groups. There's that. There. This one. There. This one. There. This one. There. 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 1,200. Let's take this one and do that. Let's see. This one doubled up. Huh. You don't want that because when you do it, that means this side's a little bit longer than the rest. It's barely noticeable, but it would bug me. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just call it quits at 1,201 vertices, or polys, or tries. If I do this, turn it off. It's a lot smoother than it needs to be, but you would have to do if you wanted to make this smoother. Let's grab all those faces. See what this one is? 3. So these just need to be 3. And we're just going to do 3. And see how it's smooth across there now. I'm going to take that. That actually doesn't bother me, but this one does. So I'm going to change this to 4. There. Okay, there's your base. There's your homework. Let's see about unwrapping it real quick. One more test here. If I can't get this to work, then you're free of it. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go to edge mode. I'm going to take this button right there. First, I got to grab a vert, grab one edge. We asked you to do one thing. And it went all the way up into that. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see about this one. Oops. This one. Do the same thing. That seemed to be really strange. Well, that's interesting. It's grabbing each face and adding them to it. So in theory, if I go all the way down to here, it should just be, wow, that's not bad. Unexpected. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to grab all of this, and we're going to check and make sure that the checker pattern works pretty good on it here. See how bad this looks. Then we're going to tools, pack, fill holes, rotate, sure, why not? Let's see. And we'll turn that off, and we'll turn off the peel seams. And it looks like it's not horrible. We just need to play with it. Like this. So that edge is right there. Okay, so if we look at this, what we can do is we can take this whole thing and just say relax, like we like to do. Let's see what we get out of that. Wow, that's all over the place. Let's try this. And that didn't work either. Okay, so sometimes we have to take this edge, ring it. I wish my shortcuts worked. I'll get that back out here. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up here, turn off the wireframe here, and see what we got. I'm going to take actually, I'm going to take all but the ones that are stretched. See, I go past the ones that are stretched, and I pull that up and see how it's now fixing that one. And if I come back down to this one, and I pull it up, it's going to make those others a little unstretched. Then I take all of these, it's a little bit better. Oops, let's rotate. A little bit better. Interesting. Don't like that. So, you know what? This will be, except for Sorry, I was going to say this is going to be fun. You see how I work? My brain's like, no, it won't. Stop saying things like that. Okay, so I'll come in here real quick. Those are the ones that are wacky. Take all of these. Huh. I'm just going to scale the whole thing. Why not? You know what? It's fine. Fast solution. Now we've got that set up. Now the thing I want you to do is make multi-subtexture. So we're going to go M, and I'm going to get rid of my other texture, and we're going to say, let's see, multi this. I grab all of these. There we go. I'm going to turn off the back facing, grab all of these like that. And we're going to right click in here, say materials, call it scan line, say standard, and zoom in on it. Double click it, change it to a color. Throw it on the object. Now you'll notice everything else went gray. It's because the other stuff doesn't have a texture on it yet. Grab this one, and we'll say it should have gone all the way around. We're going to throw another texture, so we'll go materials, scan line, standard, and we're going to change this one to green. Okay. And then we'll just attach that one. And then we'll take all of this stuff down here and we'll make it blue. So materials, scan line, standard, double click it, throw it on the object, make it blue, like that. So I've got pink, blue. So I should probably name this. We'll call this blue. We'll call this, oh, double click on it. Not that way, double click on it, pink. And we'll call this one green. I'm going to do one more material, scan line, standard, and then I'm going to go to this diffuse color, and I'm going to right click, say maps, general bitmap. So we're going to add a color picture to it, and we're going to go to where we just were, recent. And I threw this picture, I think. It's the wrong one. Sorry here. Gotta click on this one. Come with this texture. It's definitely not what I wanted. Like 13, yeah, illusion face. Okay, we're gonna put illusion face in there. Pull this out a little bit bigger so we can see it. Move this over, put it in diffuse color, like that. And then we're going to see about doing something on there. So we're going to take this, double click on this one. Take this, go to turn off the angle. I'm just going to grab from the front view, so it's in the front, a few of these pictures, right? These vertices, I mean these faces right here. Maybe a little stretched out, and we can mess with that if we have to. We're going to take this texture and we're going to throw it on there. And then we're going to tell it to show the picture. Okay, so let's take a look at something else here while we're in this multi-sub thing. So right now I've got all these pictures all over the place. I'm just going to delete them, which you'll notice doesn't change anything on there. And you'll see that it's not the whole picture. So what I'm going to do is do the eyedropper, grab this, and then it'll nice and organize it for me as my voice goes all over the place. And I really should name this one picture or vase image so I know what it is. Okay, so I've got that. Let's take a look at what happens when you use multi-subtextures on one object. Okay, how does that work? What does that do for the UVs? So I'm going to open up my UV editor real quick. Open up the UV editor. And inside of here, you'll see it doesn't look any different. It has all the textures everywhere, all that stuff. Well, I'm going to come down here where it says all IDs, because when you add a new texture to something, let me show you this too. When you add a new texture to something with multi-sub texture like that, if you click on that face, you'll see that face under the IDs, which is not the smoothing groups, but something we haven't talked about very much, and it is the material IDs. You'll see it says 5, right? If I come down here, and by the way, let me open up the material editor. Why does it say 5? Because it's the 5th material. You could change it to 4. If I change that to 4, set ID to 4, it changes it to blue, because that's the blue is the 4th material. And the numbers are arbitrary. They're just not, it just happens to be 5 was the last one I created, so that's the number 5 I gave it. You could be anything you wanted. Anyway, so what that means is there's 5 materials on here, and if I click over here, you'll see that's number 1, because 1 is pink. If I go to green, it's going to be number 2. If I go to blue, it's going to be number 4. I'm not sure what 3 is. 3 is the standard material, which we aren't using because it's liking to do that lately. That's fine. So we have all these material IDs. You can see material IDs that are defined by the 2 materials that are on them. So what does that mean? Well, okay. What that means is that if I look in my UV Unwrap, open editor, right here it says all IDs. It means every texture is shown in this picture. But if I change that, if you click down on it, you'll see it says pink, green, all the materials that we have are listed right here. If we go to Vase image, it's just this little part, and that's what we're seeing is the nose. So what we need to do is take that picture, those verts, and just say lightning bolt, or maybe this, and just scale it up to fit. We'll come back to tools, pack UVs. So now it's snapped it into place, and now all the UVs are set up for that. So there's that. And for that same matter, if I went to pink, you'll only see the pink stuff. Saying that's only the pink stuff. If I go to let's say green, I'm only going to see the green pattern. What's being selected by the green. If I grab all these, it's all those. So just realize that as you do this multi-sub, it's actually defining your shapes. We've only used it to bring stuff into the substance, into ZBrush, but you can also use it to do a lot of other things. In fact, the way I showed you how to use it for ZBrush is not the way it was made. It was made so you could put multi-materials on this. There's a lot of things you can do with that, and there's ways to go with it. So I need you to make a vase just like I kind of made using the image I showed you, and then make it 3 textures, and if it says 4 in there, that's fine. And then make the center picture that we just used to do this right there. And then if we take everything, and we will see that that profile is right there. Okay, and that's your homework, and we'll see how you do with me walking through it.